So here's my easiest pathway to permanent residence in Canada in 2025 and 2026 and 2027. So recently, the government of Canada has announced that they will be very aggressively pursuing large scale projects in major infrastructure projects throughout the country and housing. So there's major infrastructure projects plus housing. And everybody knows already we are in extreme shortage of tradespeople in Canada. Without a question, our major cities don't have enough tradespeople. So add on this extra element that's going to happen in the next 2 years. So like today is March 31st, 2025, right? And Mark Carney, our future Prime Minister of Canada, said publicly that he wants Canada to be the leader in the world for low-cost modular homes. And he wants to build 500,000 new homes per year for the next 10 years. So, I mean, this is huge. For a country like Canada to have only a population of 40 million, to be adding 500,000 homes per year for the next 10 years will require so much labor. So much labor, we don't have that much labor. We clearly don't. So we're gonna do what other countries do when they build large-scale projects. We're gonna outsource the labor. We're gonna bring them in from other countries, but we're not gonna bring in low-wage, low-skill labor. We're gonna bring in high-skill, high-wage labor. We're gonna bring in the mechanical engineers, right? The heavy-duty mechanics, the carpenters, the plumbers, the electricians, right? So when these people come into Canada, they could just come in, work for 2 or 3 years and go back to their home countries. But Canada being kind of different than other countries that do this, Canada is ultimately a destination for people. Canada is what would be considered like the crown jewel or the holy grail of immigration passports. So these workers that are going to come in, right, they're going to want permanent residency as well. And this is where it really gets interesting. The government of Canada is also going to aggressively increase their immigration targets, right? Because these skilled workers are going to have to stick around to feed the economy that they build. So these workers will come in and they're going to then transition into permanent residency. I bet it's going to be the fastest pathways available for these skilled tradespeople in our immigration history. We're going to have pathways that literally will take you from worker to PR in less than a year for you and your family. So my suggestion to people who are thinking about immigrating to Canada, and if you're still, young enough to work and, try new things, then the trades is where it's at. I mean, there's not a question about this. This will be part of our immigration strategy, part of our national strategy for, developing those goals that I talked about, right? And this isn't just like a liberal versus conservative idea. Like the Conservative Party of Canada, if they get in power in the next election, will do the exact same thing. They've already said in their platform they're going to have an economic corridor that joins east to west. And I mean, it's a huge project. We've never done this stuff before. No one's thinking about how we're going to do it. They're just going to say we're going to do it. So when the how comes, that's when I get excited, because now all these job openings start to happen. The contracts need to be filled, right? The companies need to hire more workers. So, it's never been actually a better time to be in trades in Canada if you're looking for immigration options. So how would that work? How would you break it down, right? So there's all the trades in Canada, for the most part, are regulated through what's called a Industry Training Authority System, ITA. And it's kind of like being a qualified whatever. Like if you're a carpenter, you're going to be a red sealed carpenter is what we call it. Red seal cook, red seal electrician. So you've done the training, you've been sort of gone through a 4-year program, done the schooling to get to a level where you're considered like that profession. So that would be considered like like the home run, right? If you can get that, then your pathway to PR is even quicker, because you don't need to accumulate the experience. You can just apply direct once you have, a job offer in play, in the most part. So if you're not in that system yet, then that would be the one thing to look out for. Like, so you basically, if you have a work permit in Canada, right, and you want to get into the trades, you go to a trades company and you say, listen, hire me as an apprentice. And by the way, apprentices get paid really good money, right? For people that are in the food service industry, looking for immigration options, like people who work at fast food industries, right? You're making $18.50 an hour. Apprentices start at $35 per hour. Double your salary and go into the trades. So you're in the apprentice system, you're working as a apprentice, whatever, and you basically have to do this for 4 years. So what's the employer going to get? The employer gets a reliable, capable, loyal employee for 4 years. That's very hard to come by in today's labor market, by the way. And what does the worker get? The worker gets basically to become a red sealed whatever, carpenter, electrician, in those 4 years. They get paid during the whole time they're doing this. Here's another thing, right? So there used to be this rule where if you were in these trades programs, these apprenticeship programs, you had to have a study permit as well as a work permit, because you were kind of going to school at the same time as working, even though the majority of your apprenticeship is working. You have like 2 or 3 weeks, every 4 months you have to go in for school. And the government said you have to have a study permit, right? This was just an obstacle in play. Now, recently, they've just said you don't need a study permit if you're in the trades or apprenticeship programs. So again, it's another sign that they want to open the door for tradespeople to immigrate to Canada, right? Making it easier for people to join the trades. So if you're in the open work permit category of people, the postgraduate work permit holders, the spousal open work permit holders, and you're kind of bumming around jobs looking for PR options, and you got 2 or 3 years left on your work permit, why are you not joining the trades? Why are you not going to your local plumbing office, your local electrician, contractor, and saying, listen, I want to be your apprentice. I want to learn from you for the next 4 years, right? I'm going to become a red seal electrician, carpenter. And by the way, you're going to get work for the rest of your life. You're going to be wealthy. You're going to own your own business. You'll never look for work if you're in the trades in Canada. So you get on board with a company, right? If you have a work permit in Canada, great, you can just go ahead and apply. If you don't have a work permit in Canada, you want to come into Canada, right? Because of the opportunities that we're going to have in the next 5 years, then the employer has to sponsor you. They have to go through a process called an LMIA, and they're going to give you the work permit that you need to come in. Now, that's kind of the trickiest part of the whole equation. That's also the key part. Like, without that, there's nothing. So if you don't have a work permit, or if you can't get a work permit through an LMIA, then there's not a starter, right? There's companies out there that will be, act as a recruiter in this capacity, and they'll kind of like, work with companies to find people. I don't recommend, by the way, if anyone approaches you and says, I have an offer of employment for you, or I can get one for you if you pay me money, 9 times out of 10, they are acting unlawfully, and they're trying to scam you, and there is no job, and they just want cash. So if it's too good to be true, it is actually too good to be true. Okay. So finding the job offer is not really anyone's responsibility aside from yours. You have to kind of take it upon yourself to find the job offer. And if the employer is not willing to do the LMIA for you to get you the work permit, that's the application the employer has to make to get the work permit, they're probably not worth it, right? Because a good employer is someone that believes in the formula, that wants you to be long-term. So if you commit to them and you say, listen, I'm here, I want to be here for 5 years with you minimum, that's your offer. That's what they're getting. Again, that is very hard to come by in today's market. Like if an employer says, I've talked to employers all the time, and they say, no one wants to stick around. They always, do a job and then they take off for the next guy because they're paying them $1 more, right? So if you come in the door with a guarantee that say, I'm here, I'm loyal with you for the next 4 or 5 years, What's a $4,000 to $5,000 application going to be for them to do the LMIA? It's nothing. It's half a month's wages for them to get you for 4 or 5 years. But what's in it for you, right? What's in it for you is a guaranteed pathway to permanent residency, because you will get a Red Seal certification, and then you're going to have the experience. By the way, when you work as an apprentice, that counts as skilled work. It's the same as if you were working for the actual, high level trade. So if you're an apprentice electrician, you're doing the same duties as an electrician, which means you claim that work as being skilled, right? So you might even have a pathway to PR before you get to your Red Seal. So back to the whole, bigger concept here. The trades is kind of what I'm pushing for 2025 and 2026. And when I say trades, I don't just mean the construction trades, I mean all trades, right? I mean, there's even butchers and cooks and things, people that are skilled, very skilled people, very essential, right? Some other things that, Mark Carney said today, no GST on new homes, right? So they're basically, they're going to build new homes, and then they're going to sell them without taxing them, right? 500,000 new homes per year for the next 10 years. That's the goal. He says he wants Canada to be the leader, the global leader in prefabbed modular housing. I don't even know what a prefab modular house is, right? But if you're the global leader, like that, you're building houses at a huge rate, Pierre Poilievre, the conservative leader, says that he wants to make an economic corridor between East and West Canada for energy, which means pipelines, by the way. He wants to build lots of pipelines, East and West. And infrastructure, highways, train tracks, all that kind of stuff. Ports at Vancouver and Halifax. So these projects, they're not going to come just overnight, yet both leaders have told us that they want them to be prioritized, and it's going to be the most economic development we've seen since World War II in Canada, right? This is all stemming from the falling out or the degradation of the relationship between Canada and the US, which has happened in the last 4 months since President Trump has been elected, basically threatening Canada's sovereignty, and therefore Canada's galvanized now to make sure that we are expanding our markets and looking for other trade partners, which means infrastructure. You have to build ports, pipelines, and then, for all that, you need a population base that's going to support it, right? So like, if like healthcare was the big thing last year. Before that, it was just, people doing master's degree, MBAs, looking for opportunities in the CEC class. But I think in the future, we're moving into an immigration system that's going to target and benefit tradespeople, highly targeting tradespeople. So much so that, like compare it to Dubai, UAE, right? Where they have like 80% of their labor is imported. So they import labor, to build all their big projects, and they make a ton of money, right? But none of those people who work on those projects ever achieve like residency. Very few do, because their immigration system doesn't want more permanent residents or citizens. They have like a kingdom, then they have the workers, right? And that is just not Canada. Canada is actually, the opposite of that. We want more people. We want these workers to actually become citizens. Right. So it's a benefit to our immigration system. It's a benefit to our culture, our economy, our population, if we have these workers transition into permanent residency. Now, keep in mind, too, those workers bring their spouses. They bring their kids. They go to our schools. They educate themselves. They become part of our communities. So, again, we're looking at opportunities that we've never seen before. Right. So to break it out one more time, how this will work for you if you're immigrating to Canada, you want to say, okay, Chris, what's the next step? How do I go about joining a trade? If you have a work permit, take it upon yourself to find a trade that you might be interested in and go down to your local supplier, and literally just show up with a resume and say, listen, this is what I want to do. I'm changing my career. I want to join the trades and I want to do it with you, right? Apprenticeship program, 4 years minimum. I'm with you. You know, your work permit might be valid for 2 years, but after the second year, you can get an LMIA extension, right? And by then, the employer likes you so much because you're so part of their team, they're going to do that for you. If you're not in a work permit situation, you're a visitor to Canada or you're overseas, whatever. Again, that is the same process, but you have to then convince an employer in Canada to sponsor you and hire you through what's called an LMIA, Labor Market Impact Assessment. Again, if you're worth it, they're going to do it for you, right? So I'm going to talk about this on my other channels on TikTok and Instagram. When these programs open up, they will open up. They're going to come, like, they're going to take the immigration system by storm. The trades, targeted trades, draws, and I mean, there's undocumented tradespeople in Canada right now. Like there's, I don't know, they estimated about 50,000 people are working in the trades, undocumented or illegally, like, you know, past the expiry date of their work permit. The government has told these people publicly that they will have a pathway for them to become documented and also to become permanent residents. So, you know, what they're saying is, even though you broke the law, even though you're working here illegally, we want you to stay. Like, what other industry or sector would that ever happen in our immigration system? Usually it's the case, if you work illegally, you're gone, you're deported, you're done. Not in the trades, not in the construction industry, right? So again, it's proof that the government's serious about keeping, you know, these people in Canada. And the pathways will start to open up in 2025. You know, right now we're kind of like in an election season. Our immigration system's transforming once again after it did past COVID. We went from COVID kind of booming and we had a huge intake, and then we post-COVID, we kind of crashed again and we kind of limited everything, and now we're going to start to boom up again, right? That's what's going to happen. Anyway, if you like the content, leave me a comment or a question for me. I'll try to get to, you know, your questions, concerns. I've been told that these YouTube videos that I'm making are authentic or honest, and that really, you know, resonates well with me, because that's what I want to come off. I want to come off as someone that you can trust, someone that you can, you know, watch and learn from. Like, I'm not looking for more clients, you know, I just want more people to out there to know what I think about our immigration system, where it's going to go, and where we're at right now. So leave a comment and question. Don't forget to follow. And like, the goal is to get to 1,000 followers, I think, by you know, September, which is about 4 or 5 months from now. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I'm just trying. So you know, spread the word, and more content to come.